Blood of My Blood continues to deliver powerful episodes that honor Outlander's legacy. Episode 4, in particular, gave us a major turning point as Julia and Ellen met for the very first time, completely unaware that their children would one day be at the center of one of television's greatest love stories. And as much as this meeting was impactful, it's only the beginning. Episode 5 promises to deepen their bond into a strong, unshakable friendship. But before we get there, let's break down everything that happened in Episode 4. The episode opens with Julia spilling her morning milk and immediately panicking, fearing she had upset the fairy folk. Mistress Porter urged her to be cautious, leading Julia to leave an offering at the old milking stone, hoping to make peace with the fairies. At the same time, Lord Lovat returned to Castle Leathers after a month in Edinburgh, leaving Julia reflecting on her strange circumstances. She admitted she still didn't fully understand how she had traveled through time or whether she would ever return to Henry. For me, Julia's story is one of the most emotional and tragic arcs in the series. Every time she appears on screen, her pain and longing hit harder than almost anything else, and Episode 4 leaned heavily into that emotion with several powerful flashbacks. One flashback took us back to Julia's apartment during her pregnancy. She asked Henry if he would consider naming their baby Peter if it turned out to be a boy. Henry, excited at the possibility of reclaiming his solicitor's job, reassured her that all he wanted was for Julia and their child to be safe and healthy. He felt certain their baby would be a boy, while Julia dreamed of making Peter proud by going to college. In one tender moment, she placed Henry's hand on her belly so he could feel their baby's kick. They shared a quiet exchange of love, which felt all the more heartbreaking since we know that baby will one day grow up to be Claire. Meanwhile, Julia had to continue protecting herself from Lord Lovat's unwanted attention. She rubbed poisoned sumac on her skin to create a rash, making herself less desirable. She cleverly asked to visit an apothecary for a cure, which Lovat agreed to. Brian then stepped in, offering to escort her. Elsewhere at Castle Leoch, Ellen faced her own challenges. Colum informed her that Malcolm Grant expected her to attend Beltane as his betrothed. Ellen refused, knowing that marrying Malcolm would mean shifting her loyalties. But Colum pressed the issue, insisting the clan's survival depended on her sacrifice. With their father having mismanaged the clan's finances, Colum reminded her that breaking a promise to the Grants could lead to devastating consequences. While I can understand Colum's position, securing the alliance with the Grants was politically smart, it's hard not to feel for Ellen. She deserves happiness, and Brian clearly has her heart. On their journey to Innis, Julia and Brian formed an unexpected bond. Julia admitted her pregnancy, while Brian revealed his own insecurities as a bastard with little to offer. Their conversation showed vulnerability on both sides, with Brian promising to protect her. By the time they reached Castle Leoch under the cover of night, Julia had already earned his trust. At Castle Leoch, Julia was introduced to Mrs. Fitzgibbons and quickly learned just how much Ellen was suffering. Ellen was heartsick, essentially trapped by circumstance and the weight of her family's expectations. Julia, who knew the pain of being separated from her own true love, instantly recognized Ellen's struggle. In a moment of solidarity, Julia encouraged her to follow her heart instead of surrendering to duty. That advice led to one of the most emotional moments of the episode. Together, Julia and Ellen sneaked out, allowing Ellen to reunite with Brian. The scene between them was filled with raw longing as they held hands, exchanged declarations of love, and promised each other a future beyond Malcolm Grant. Ellen swore she would find a way to avoid marrying Malcolm and hoped to meet Brian again at Beltane. Now, I'll admit part of me still questions how quickly Ellen and Brian's feelings escalated after only a brief encounter. But then again, sometimes the heart simply knows what it wants. And honestly, the two of them radiated such strong chemistry that it's hard not to root for them. Their connection may have been sudden, but it also felt inevitable. Watching them together gave this forbidden romance an almost fairy tale quality, and I'm definitely excited to see how their story continues at Beltane in the next episode. Meanwhile, back at Castle Leathers, Julia was playing a dangerous game with Lord Lovat. Pleased that her rash had cleared, he called her his English rose. Julia cleverly revealed that she was carrying his child, a move that seemed to soften his attitude toward her. Lady Dana offered congratulations, while Lovat openly hoped for another son. Julia's situation, however, remained precarious, and it was hard not to worry about what lay ahead for her. Across the storyline, Henry was still desperately searching for Julia. His pursuit took him to a brothel, where a woman named Seema was mistakenly presented to him in Julia's place. For a moment, it seemed like Henry might give in to temptation, and I'll admit I braced myself for disappointment. But he proved once again just how deeply loyal he is to Julia. He wanted no one else, his only desire was to find his wife and be near her. That unwavering devotion only deepened my admiration for him as a character. At the same time, Henry's responsibilities to Clan Grant complicated things. Isaac Grant ordered him to increase tenant rents, and under Archbug's supervision, Henry was forced to enforce the demand. At first, he resorted to physical force, his wartime training flashing back in brutal ways. But Henry's compassion eventually took over, and he proposed a fairer system, a lottery in which tenants would pay what they could, with the winner receiving a year of free rent. Isaac doubted the idea but reluctantly allowed it, warning Henry never to attempt such a thing again. This subplot was especially powerful because it showed both Henry's humanity and his trauma. His wartime PTSD surfaced vividly, but Julia's memory became his anchor. Her voice and her love were what kept him steady, reminding him of the man he was now rather than the soldier he used to be. Henry's struggle with trauma reached heartbreaking depths in this part of the story. Triggered by the brutal encounter with Clan Grant's tenants, his PTSD returned in full force. The flashbacks to wartime were raw, vivid, and almost unbearable to watch. Yet in those moments of despair, Julia's presence became his lifeline. Even in separation, her memory soothed him. She appeared in his dreams, comforting him through his nightmares, softly singing and offering him a St. Anthony necklace for protection. What made this especially moving was Julia's reminder that she loved him for who he was now, not for the broken soldier haunted by the past. She urged him to hold on to her and their unborn child as his guiding light. This conversation, though imagined, had a transformative effect on Henry. In a moment of quiet hope, he decided that if their child turned out to be a girl, they would name her Claire, a name meaning clear and bright. The symbolism couldn't have been more beautiful. For Outlander fans, that choice instantly connected us to the legacy of Claire Fraser, making the moment both emotional and historically significant. Honestly, if you didn't tear up here, I don't know what could move you. Meanwhile, Julia was busy forging new alliances. She and Brian found common ground, realizing that their goals were intertwined. Julia needed Brian's help to locate Henry, while Brian relied on her to communicate with Ellen. It was an unlikely but necessary partnership, one that set the stage for even more drama. Julia risked everything by sneaking back into Castle Leoch through the servants' entrance, determined to deliver Brian's message to Ellen. Once again, we saw the strength of the women in this story. Julia and Ellen came together, not just as individuals in love, but as allies navigating an impossible situation. They planned carefully, strategizing ways to reunite with their lovers while keeping an eye on dangerous figures like Dougal and Colum. All of this was leading to the highly anticipated Beltane gathering, which promises to be a turning point in the series. From what we've seen, Ellen's wedding to Malcolm Grant is set to become a complete disaster. Brian will attempt to steal her away in true outlaw fashion, but of course, such a plan is bound to fail spectacularly. What should have been a solemn union will instead explode into chaos, fueling conflict between families and escalating tensions across the clans. Adding to the intensity, Julia will once again be pulled into the middle of it all. Acting as the bridge between Brian and Ellen, she'll continue to play a crucial role in their secret communications. And then there's Henry. He will be present at the wedding as well, which means one thing we've all been waiting for: Julia and Henry will finally lock eyes. It won't be their long-awaited reunion just yet, but the emotional power of that first eye contact will be undeniable. The tragedy, of course, lies in the revelation that Julia is now seen as Lord Lovat's mistress. For Henry, reclaiming his wife won't be simple. Their love story, while destined, must first weather even greater obstacles. As we look ahead, the stage is set for one of the most dramatic episodes yet. Beltane will not only mark Ellen's supposed wedding to Malcolm Grant, but it will also serve as the collision point for every storyline we've been following so far. Brian's reckless determination to steal Ellen away promises nothing short of chaos. His plan may be romantic in spirit, but realistically, it's bound to spiral out of control. Instead of a clean escape, we can expect a messy confrontation that ignites instant conflict among the clans. And the fallout will be massive. Ellen's heart is clearly with Brian, not Malcolm, but by defying her family and the Grants, she risks igniting a feud that could endanger them all. What makes this episode even more compelling is Julia's central role. She is no longer just an observer in the lives of others, she's actively shaping the events around her. By serving as a messenger and ally for Ellen, she has become the bridge holding multiple storylines together. At the same time, Julia is navigating her own impossible situation. Her entanglement with Lord Lovat has placed her in a compromising position, one that complicates everything she hopes for with Henry. And speaking of Henry, his presence at Beltane raises the stakes higher than ever. After episodes of searching, suffering, and near misses, Henry will finally lay eyes on Julia again. That single moment of recognition is set to be one of the most powerful emotional payoffs in the series so far. Yet fans shouldn't expect an easy reunion. The harsh truth that Julia is now regarded as Lovat's mistress will hit Henry like a dagger to the heart. His path to reclaiming his wife will not be straightforward, and this cruel twist ensures the tension will only deepen moving forward. At the same time, Julia and Ellen will come to recognize a deeper truth, that their only chance at survival lies in working together. Both women, caught between duty and love, understand that their struggles mirror one another. It's in this shared bond that they will find strength, creating a powerful alliance that could change everything. Their decision to secretly meet and exchange information will likely prove to be a turning point, giving them agency in a world where their choices are constantly stripped away. So, as the series heads into its next chapter, we're standing at the edge of a storm. Beltane will bring love, betrayal, rebellion, and heartbreak all crashing together in a single night. Brian's daring but doomed rescue attempt, Ellen's defiance of her family, Henry's desperate longing for Julia, and Julia's fight to reclaim her life will all intertwine, setting the stage for explosive drama. And honestly, that's exactly why Blood of My Blood continues to shine. It's not just about romance or tragedy, it's about resilience, sacrifice, and the unstoppable force of love, even in the face of impossible odds. So tell me, what do you expect to see at Beltane? Will Ellen and Brian find a way to escape together? Will Henry finally begin to bridge the impossible distance between himself and Julia? And how long can Julia continue walking the tightrope between survival and true love? Whatever happens, one thing is certain, the next episode is going to be unmissable.